In the red valleys of Argas, memory is not a whisper. It is a force that shapes the soil, the air, and the hearts of those who dare to remember. This chapter follows Susan, Jalen's, and their child Marcel as they confront the echoes of a dying earth and the fragile beginnings of a new world. What begins as a dream becomes a reckoning, and what ends as silence becomes the seed of renewal. The Chronicles were born from the question, what if memory itself could terraform? Each book explores a different frontier of remembrance, how civilizations rise, fall, and root again through the persistence of what they refuse to forget. The Cedars of Argas continues this journey, tracing the fragile line between survival and restoration. The breath of Argas. Before the domes, before the shards, Argas was a whisper in the void. A planet of red storms and sleeping minerals, waiting for the touch of those who carried Earth's last breath. When the first settlers arrived, they brought not only tools and seeds, but memories. And memory, once planted, never truly dies. Hush before sleep. The shard's hum did not stop when the lamps dimmed. It softened, like a pulse learning how to hide. Susan lay in the hush cot, the recycled blanket warm with the day's work. Her shoulders ached, her palms still smelled of salt and metal. Outside, the valley wind pressed sand against the red-tinted domes, Argas breathing the way sleepers do, uneven, half-aware. Jalen sat nearby, back against the frame, one knee drawn up. In the low light his eyes caught the gleam of circuitry beneath skin, dusk folded into steel. He murmured into the sensor node, no more dreams tonight. The hush listened, memory did not. The dream opens. She was standing on Earth, but not the one she told stories about. Not the creekside, not the gardens. This Earth was hollowed. Dryer's Island rose like a scar from the sea. Machines moved across it with patient hunger, drilling where rivers had once braided. Iron rigs stood like forests that had learned nothing of shade. The sound was the shard's sound. Endless. Familiar. Alive. Her body reacted before thought. Hand to belly, breath shallow. A reflex older than reason. The last harvest. Jalen's was there beside her, as if he had never been absent. They're taking the last of it, he said, voice carrying through steel corridors and broken wind. Susan pressed her palm to the rock wall. It pulsed back, sap, blood, data. The wall remembered being something else. They're not just stealing, she said, the words heavy with certainty. They're erasing. Overhead, pods ignited, seed vaults, soil cores, coded genomes, launched away from the dying blue into black. Each one carried a fragment of refusal. Each one fled toward Marcello's red patience. The women who watched. The dream shifted. She was younger, heavier, slower. Her hands were swollen, her back damp with sweat. Marcel slept against her chest, small and warm, breath hiccuping like a promise still learning itself. The neighbor women stood nearby, not cruel, not kind. Just watching, always watching. They spoke in murmurs she could never fully recall. Advice wrapped in judgment. Help braided with ownership. You'll bounce back. That baby's got strong lungs. You sure about that man? Jalen's moved in and out of the room, steady, quiet, present. Not the kind of presence that announces itself. The kind that stays. Her brow slicked with sweat. The room smelled of iron and milk and something electrical, like rain before a storm. She woke inside the dream, already tired. Reckoning. Earth rose, not in hope, but in memory's refusal. Fault lines split open. Black water surged from broken seas. Towers fell into the silence they had manufactured. Earth remembers, Susan whispered, holding Marcel close as the ground shook. Earth responds, Jalen's answered, not from beside her, but from within the sound itself. The vault's last command fractured through dying circuits, let it burn. Let it begin again. She did not flinch. She had already learned how to endure. The dove's choice. The aerialist dove lifted from the tunnel mouth, wings shedding hush codes that spiraled into Marcello's dawn. It chose you, Jalen said, not as praise, not as burden. Just fact. In the dove's fading song, Susan heard it. Patterns correcting themselves. Stolen seeds rewriting their own histories. Memory learning how to root without permission. Betrayal, perhaps, or survival. The spark wakes. Susan jolted awake. Her breath fogged the dome ceiling. Red dust hissed against the shell outside. Her body ached the way it did after long days, real ache, earned ache. The shard pulsed on the table. Jalen's was there, solid, warm, one hand steady at her temple, the other brushing damp hair from her brow. "It's just memory," he said gently. She swallowed. "Not just." He paused, then nodded once. "No, never just." From the adjacent cot came a soft sound, Marcel shifting in sleep. The new dawn. Morning came pale and quiet. Outside, the gate of sand glowed in rising light, each grain a remnant of seas that refused to vanish completely. Beneath the domes, crates of seed waited, some coated, some ordinary, all handled with care. Susan watched Jalen's lift Marcel, clumsy but proud, whispering nonsense that sounded like prayer. She leaned against the frame, a hand resting on her still sore back. Deja vu brushed her spine, not sharp enough to name, not gentle enough to ignore. "Promise we won't repeat what they did," she said. Jalen's met her gaze, serious now. He touched her cheek, hush against hush. "Only roots, Susan," he said. "No more extraction, no more theft, just roots." Outside, Argas held its breath, and began, slowly, to remember how to grow. The nightmare was never the dream itself, it was forgetting what the dream meant. In the ashes of Earth and the red dust of Argas, the seeders learned that survival without memory is only repetition. To plant is to remember. To remember is to resist erasure. May every root find its soil. May every memory find its keeper. May every silence learn to hum again. The keeper's note. Years later, when the domes had turned green and the shards had gone quiet, a child found a fragment buried beneath the gate of sand. It pulsed once, faintly, as if recognizing a familiar heartbeat. The child smiled and whispered, "Grow." And the shard obeyed. Thus ends the Nightmare Seed, the 22nd chapter of the Book of Chronicles. The story of Argas continues, where memory, soil, and spirit intertwine to rebuild what was lost. Gratitude to the dreamers who keep the old worlds alive through story, to the readers who listen between the silences, and to those who plant again after loss. Every word here is a seed carried forward by faith in renewal. Dear friends, to those who journeyed through the red dust and the quiet domes, may the stories remembered here remind that even in ruin, life waits for the courage to begin again. The chronicles continue, one seed, one memory, one dawn at a time. Thank you for your presence and time.